For centuries, we believed the Maya civilization emerged in isolation, a mysterious anomaly deep within the rainforests of Central America. But a groundbreaking genetic study has just shattered that narrative. Scientists have successfully sequenced ancient DNA that doesn't just rewrite Mayan history, it redefines the entire migratory map of the ancient world. What they found hidden in the genetic code suggests that the ancestors of the people who built Chichen Itza didn't just come from the north. The truth involves a massive, undocumented journey that began thousands of miles away, long before the first stone of a pyramid was ever laid. And the data shows this connection is etched into the DNA of millions today. To understand the magnitude of this discovery, we have to look at the genetic time capsule. For decades, the humid climate of the Maya lowlands was the enemy of science, destroying organic matter and making DNA recovery nearly impossible. The high heat and relentless moisture act like a slow-motion acid, dissolving the very blueprints of life. However, using new ultra-sensitive sequencing techniques, researchers focused on the petrous bone, a dense part of the inner ear that preserves DNA even in extreme conditions. This bone is so compact it acts like a biological black box, protecting the genetic sequence from the elements for millennia. This allowed them to peek back over 4,000 years, deep into the pre-classic period. According to the published findings, the early Maya weren't a stagnant population that simply woke up and started building monuments. They were part of a dynamic, continental-scale movement that suggests the Americas were a much smaller place than we previously thought. But here is the first twist that challenged everything we were taught in history books. We've always been told about the single, linear southern migration, the idea that people moved from north to south in a one-way street. But the DNA reveals a back-and-forth flow that changes the entire game. Reportedly, there is a distinct genetic signature in early Maya remains that links them directly to populations from the high Andes in South America. How did a group from the South American mountains end up influencing the genetic makeup of the Yucatan thousands of years before the classic period of the Maya? This implies a level of maritime or coastal travel that was previously considered purely speculative. We aren't just talking about a few wandering travelers, we are talking about a significant genetic contribution that suggests a reverse migration. Imagine ancient fleets navigating the Pacific coast, carrying not just goods, but the very DNA that would eventually build the most advanced mathematical and astronomical society of the ancient world. The evidence isn't just in the bones, it's in the food. Scientists believe this migration was driven by what we can call the maize revolution. Genetically speaking, the corn the Maya perfected actually originated in the Balsas River Valley of Mexico. But here's the catch. It underwent a massive transformation in South America. It was domesticated, improved, and upgraded in the South before being brought back to Central America. The DNA of the people matches the DNA of the crops. This suggests that the Maya origins weren't just a group of people settling down, it was a sophisticated exchange of technology and biology. This was an ancient version of a globalized economy, where the software of agriculture was being traded across thousands of miles of jungle and sea. But as researchers dug deeper into the samples from the pre-classic period, they hit a genetic shifter that no one saw coming. There is a segment of the DNA that researchers call a ghost lineage. It's a genetic marker that doesn't perfectly match the surrounding North American indigenous groups. According to some genomic studies, this suggests that the founding populations of the Maya were much more diverse than we ever imagined. Was this a result of a lost migration route from a group we haven't even identified yet? Or does it point to a much older shared ancestry that predates the civilization itself? This population Y, as some scientists call it, hints at an ancestral group that may have crossed into the Americas with a different genetic blueprint altogether. To find the answer, we have to look at the sites where the DNA was found, places like Ceibal and Aguada Phoenix. Aguada Phoenix changed our timeline forever. Built around 1000 BCE, it's a massive plateau that required millions of man-hours to construct. It's actually larger in volume than the Great Pyramid of Giza. For a long time, archaeologists wondered, who taught them to build like this? The traditional theory was the Olmec influence, the idea that the Olmecs were the mother culture and the Maya were the students. However, the DNA now suggests a different story. The genetic data shows that the Maya and the Olmec were likely sister cultures, evolving simultaneously from the same diverse genetic pool. They weren't students, they were peers. They were part of a widespread interaction sphere where ideas about architecture, calendar systems, and social hierarchy were being shared in real time. This means the Maya didn't just inherit a civilization. They were part of a collective cultural explosion that spanned from the Gulf of Mexico to the Pacific coast. This diversity in their origin explains why Maya city-states were so unique, yet so unified. They were a melting pot of genetic and cultural influences. From the deep rainforests of the Petén to the dry limestone plains of the north, the genetic resilience of these people was their greatest strength. And that resilience leads us to a stunning revelation about the modern world. Perhaps the most shocking part of this exposure isn't about the past, but the present. Many people speak of the collapse of the Maya as if the people vanished into thin air, leaving behind only empty stone cities. But the DNA analysis of modern Maya populations shows a staggering 90% to 95% genetic continuity. This means the people who built the pyramids never left. They didn't disappear, they simply changed their social structure. The collapse was a political one, not a biological one. The descendants of the ancient astronomers are still there, living in the same lands, speaking the same languages, and carrying the exact same Andean-influenced DNA that their ancestors brought back thousands of years ago. It's a level of survival that is almost unparalleled in human history. But that leads us to a final, controversial question. If their origins were so diverse and their movements so vast, why did they choose to concentrate their empire in one of the most difficult environments on Earth? The Maya lowlands are a place of seasonal extremes, either too much water or not enough. Yet, they turned this challenging landscape into a Garden of Eden through advanced hydraulic engineering. Their DNA shows they were a people built for adaptation. They were travelers who decided to stop in the hardest place they could find and prove they could master it. The true origins of the Maya aren't found in a single location on a map, but in a 4,000-year-old story of movement, adaptation, and an incredible biological fusion of North and South. We are no longer looking at a mystery civilization, but a highly connected, continental superpower that was far more advanced in its social networking than we ever gave them credit for. They were the bridge between two worlds, the custodians of a genetic legacy that stretched from the snowy peaks of the Andes to the volcanic highlands of Guatemala. But the Maya aren't the only ones with a hidden genetic history. New LiDAR technology has just revealed a massive urban network in the Amazon, an area previously thought to be uninhabited and virgin rainforest. If the Maya had these deep, ancient connections to the south, could the Amazon be the missing piece of the puzzle? Could there be a lost mother city hidden under the canopy of the world's largest forest that explains where this ghost lineage truly came from? To see how these garden cities in the jungle are completely changing our understanding of human history and how they might be linked to the Maya, you need to see the data coming out of the Xingu Basin. It's a discovery that makes the Maya pyramids look like just the beginning. The map of ancient America is being redrawn, and the connections are more complex than we ever dared to dream. The past is being rewritten every day. Make sure you're here to see it. See you in the next one.